What you're about to see are passionate, dedicated, and trained people practicing and preparing to enter an extreme sporting event that may change their lives. Do not try this on your own without necessary experience and supervision.
Breathe in, breathe out. This moment's what it's all about. Born to be great, your goal awaits. Don't hesitate. Accelerate!
Set for the race, aim to give it all I got. Mind is set, gonna reach the high spot. Working hard in order to fulfill my goal. Nothing can stop me from getting what I'm going for. That's being great, I was working tirelessly, so I won't hesitate. Gotta get to first place, hands on the golden plate. I'll concentrate, won't hit the brake, just move forward, accelerate. Welcome guys, this is Accelerate. Last week, we saw how our two BM accelerators, Mangoba and Georgina, grabbed medals in their intercontinental and national competitions. This week, we're meeting two brand new accelerators, and we'll see what it takes for them to prepare for their upcoming event. Today, we're meeting 17-year-old kite surfer Erin. He's competing in a national competition that could see him grab some crucial points for the season and hopefully add to his national title race. Kite surfing is a water sport that combines wakeboarding, windsurfing, snowboarding, surfing, gymnastics, and even skateboarding into one awesome extreme sport. Being powered by an inflatable kite, a surfer can reach speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour and some epic air of up to 10 meters. We'll see how Erin tames the waves and preps himself for his upcoming event later. We're also meeting 16-year-old equestrian rider Kelly Fletcher. Equestrian is a form of horse riding that involves various activities such as dressage and show jumping. This is a sport about forming long-lasting bonds with your horse, so that in the end, there's trust between both the rider and horse to achieve some dangerous and daring jumps. Can Kelly maintain a trust with the horse and go into a competition with confidence? Let's find out.
I'm Kelly Fletcher, I'm 16 years old and I'm in grade 10. I stay in Milnerton and I live with my brothers and my parents. And I'm an equestrian rider. I started horse riding when I was 8 years old. My friend was in riding and we grew up together, and her mum was like, hey, why don't you let your daughter start riding? And my mum was like, yeah, maybe. So at the time I was doing tennis, so I had a 1 week lesson, so once a week riding, and I was at Tandeka Stables, and then I went to Legends Equestrian Centre and I started leasing horses, and then it just grew from there. My mum saw potential and she started investing more, and I just went along with it, so I love it. Yeah. When I'm on the horse, I feel control and I feel a friendship because you guys have to work together. If it's the horse doing all the work, you could fall off, and if it's the rider doing all the work, the horse could not enjoy it, or it won't get to the full potential it can get to. So as soon as you become a unit and you become one, then you can reach your dreams.
Hi, my name is Erin. I'm 17 years old. So I stay in Milnerton, Cape Town, and I live with my brother and my parents. And I'm a kite surfer from Cape Town. It was about 4 years ago I was first introduced into the sport. I started kite surfing when I saw my friends kiting on the beach one day, and also from my dad's influence in sailing, as well as we were always big surfers and big into the ocean. So from there, we kind of took it upon to start kite surfing because of all the history we've had with the sea. What I feel inspired about from kite surfing is that you can be completely free and you can just go as high as you want and just express yourself on the water and just try things you've never done before, and it just feels amazing. You know, when I get in the water, there's the wind in your ears and just the adrenaline pumping. You just get so pumped and so happy and just exhilarated and just amazing. My future in kite surfing, I want to take it into a profession, like travel overseas and compete as well as work in the industry, as well as designing kites and help push the sport to new limits. So I'm busy preparing for a competition held by South African Kiteboarding Association. The competition's in December at Bloberg Beach. So right now I'm busy preparing mentally, physically, and also training on the water, making sure that I'll be ready for the competition. This event is important to me because it's 1 out of 5 events that help rack up points for the South African title. If I win this event, it will really motivate me for the next event, as well as give me points for the South African title that I'm working hard for. If I don't do well in the event, it just means that I'll have to rethink how to do better and what mistakes I made, because winning the South African kiteboarding tour is a really big goal of mine, and it will just mean I've got a lot more pressure to do well.
My future plans in horse riding is to go overseas and work with horses over there, maybe train horses or teach riders and all of that. My top goal in horse riding is to get to the heights of 1.60 m, which is what the top people overseas in that. The event I'm preparing for is the Pony Club Interbranch. Pony Club Interbranch is important to us because we compete against different pony clubs like Paarl and Sakai and all of those. So we compete and we earn points for the pony club, and whoever gets the most points in all disciplines put together wins. So basically, whichever pony club wins is like the hierarchy. If I win my event, I'll be very proud of myself because we work so hard to get into the placings and to move forward. So yeah, I'd be really happy and excited. If I don't do so well in the events, I'm not going to fight with my mom or anyone. I'm going to accept it because it was either my fault or we didn't work hard enough on it, or it was just a mistake Trusty did if you got to fight at anything. So yeah, I'm not going to be upset about it, so I have to move on.
After the break, we'll find out what it takes for these two accelerators to prep themselves for their upcoming event. In the meantime, check out our Facebook page, like us, and tell us about the extreme sports that you do. Welcome back to Accelerate. We are horsing around with 16-year-old equestrian rider Caddy, is trading some gnarly waves with 17-year-old kite surfer Erin. They're about to show us what it takes to get themselves mentally and physically prepared for their upcoming local and national events.
The main equipment on myself for horse riding is my helmet. If your horse is a bit unstable or a baby, you can also wear a body protector. Gloves in case your horse pulls, because it prevents blisters. A suitable riding top that doesn't have sleeves that cut your shoulders, that keep your shoulders open, because if you fall it could damage your shoulders. So a proper top. Riding pants, you get different thicknesses and also that, but they also have padding in certain places so that you don't get blisters, or if you fall off, they won't tear as easy as normal jeans or pants will. And riding boots, you can get long boots and short boots or different types of boots, so if the horse stands on you, it can prevent you from having a broken foot. The basic terminology in horse riding is dressage. That is the flat work and the leg gelding and all of that, and you get judged on how the horse's movements are. Jumping is you get a set course and you have to jump it. Either it's on time or it's clear round, and then you move on to the next round or however it's done. Equitation is jumping and dressage. You get 7 or 10 jumps depending on who's building, and then you have to show a short dressage test where it'll be show a serpentine of 3 loops or canter in a circle, and then they'll say, now you're ready to jump, and then you'll go into the course. Then it's cross country. Cross country is cross country jumps, so it's logs and all that. The risks associated with the sport are breaking bones, tearing ligaments, damaging your body basically. You could get kicked by the horse if you roll underneath them, and the most serious one is probably breaking bones and tearing ligaments. Nothing really scares me in the sport. It's just if I had to fall off and have a serious injury, it would cost my career over, or it could cost me not riding for a very long time.
For kitesurfing, you're going to need a board, a wetsuit, also depending if the water's warm or cold. You're going to need a harness. A bar is what you use to steer the kite, and then as well as your kite. Some of the risks associated with kitesurfing are injuries with regards to your knees. It's a lot of force on your knees when jumping and landing really hard, as well as being in the sun. You can get, if you don't wear sunscreen, there's a lot of sun damage you can get. Fears regarding the sport. I don't have many fears from the sport because from a young age, my father and I were in the water a lot, so I've got a lot of respect for the sea. So when I know things aren't going right, I'm not going to try to force it or anything. I'd rather just get out and make sure nothing is going to happen. Sponsors, I'm supported by a really big kitesurfing brand. They supply me with great equipment. They help drive my career in the sport really well. They help me out with boards, harnesses, bars, kites. Basic rules of the sport is kind of like driving a car. You stick to, you have right of way when you're going out towards the sea. Never jump when someone's below you because the wind's going to push you onto them. And always just make sure you've got enough space around you because of how long the lines are, that you're not going to endanger anyone else around you.
The dedication of my parents is a lot. They have to drop me off at my riding lessons. They have to drop me every day to ride as many times as I need to get them fit, to pay for my fees, to get me to the shows on time, to wake up really early in the mornings. She gives me a lot of support.
So horse riding's a hard sport. There's a lot of emotional support that you have to give to your child. If there's been an injury to the horse, obviously that affects them seriously, emotionally. If they know that they can't ride for a while, it gets frustrating for them. So you've got to have a good rapport with your child and be able to talk to them. I think Kelly's maturity has grown a lot through the sport and because of the sport. Then along with that comes the financial side. As you're moving up, it does get more expensive. And next year she will be going graded, which means that the fees for all the different organisations you have to be part of, that comes into account. The entry fees become more because of the administration and everything that has to be done behind the scenes. And then you're obviously wanting to compete more, and each competition costs you more, and you're tracking more, and it's petrol and everything else. Then the time that you put in with your child, time support is huge. And running backwards and forwards, and just sitting there sometimes. And they want you to watch. So you've got to be there and do your woohoo number. And finally, when you're actually at that competition, and I've seen it on the back of the father's shirt that he had written, father, groom, financer. So your support is also towards the animal, their health, injuries for both. You put a lot of time.
Myself and Lisa Hamby, we are really close because she's the owner of Trust Fund. So We get along quite well, actually. We have our funny moments when we ride. We could talk for half an hour and the rest is just jumping in that.
I'm Lisa Hamby and I'm Kelly Fletcher's coach. She came to me about 2 years ago wanting to lease a horse, and I presented her with Trust Fund. He has been with me for many years because I actually backed him as a yearling, as a 2-year-old, when he came from the sales. And so they started together almost 2 years ago now. For me, one of the most important things in a rider to be able to excel is passion with horses. I think it's important in any business or in any sport, you need to be passionate about what you're doing. And especially when you're working with an athlete such as a horse that has its own mind and its own body that is going to get sore like an athlete. She has that passion. If she wins at an event, there is always work to do. Even if we win, it means yes, we've done better than our fellow competitors, but there's always something that we have to work on. If Kelly and Trusty do not go well in an event as to where we're aiming for, we go back to the drawing board. We have a look, we discuss what went wrong, why we think it went wrong, and we go back home the following week and we work on those issues. If it's something like the horse is rushing or the horse is getting too close to a jump, we've got lots of exercises that we can do to try and fix those things.
My coach's name is Fabia. He's based in Sweden, but he also lives in Sri Lanka, and that's where we go to train because it's really good conditions there. I met him because he also rides for the same company I do, and during December time they come down and do testing on the equipment, and about 3 years ago that's where I first met him, and then from there we've always just been talking and communicating, and when I would come to Sri Lanka and train. My parents put a lot of their time into it, so on weekends, a lot of the time we're travelling up the coast looking for good spots to train at, and that also does take a lot of time of going out for lunch and stuff like that. We mainly it's devoted to kite surfing a lot of our family time.
The kind of support we give Erin is twofold. One being financial, the other being emotional. From a financial point of view, kite surfing, especially in 2016 going 2017, it's a very extreme and expensive sport. From an emotional point of view, there's the competition side of it. Erin is extremely driven to be on top of the podium, and when he doesn't make the podium, it's not that he ever has, but you can see when he's not first and he comes second or he comes third, you can see that it gets to him, and it's good for us as parents to have a conversation and say to him, look, you just have to try harder next time, and he takes that back as a learning.
Because Erin's coach doesn't live here, Arthur tends to be the coach, the manager. So what happens is it's very difficult to be the coach and the manager and the parent at the same time. So that's often where I step in to kind of dissipate. And sometimes if Erin's had a bad session on the water, it's important to get him off the water, let him chill, get him in a different headspace, because if he's in the wrong headspace, he's going to hurt himself. So I think sometimes one of us needs to be the voice of reason out there. You will him to do well, so that at the end of a competition you can go, okay, all the hard work was worth it. But if he doesn't win, it's not the end of the world. We'll unpack what he did and focus on the next event. So I think that's important, is that you don't live or die by one event. As long as for him he goes out there and does his best, he'll do well, because he's super talented and he's driven. If he doesn't, on any given day, anybody can have a bad day. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. We'll unpack it, see what he did wrong, plan for the next one.
After the break, we continue with Erin and Kelly. In the meantime, if you have an extreme sport that you'd like us to check out, why not tell us about it on our Facebook page? Who knows? You could become our next Accelerator. Welcome, guys. This is Accelerate. We're show jumping with 16-year-old equestrian rider Caddy and catching some wind with 17-year-old Erin. They are both preparing for their upcoming events. Will they be ready in time? Let's find out.
The way I manage my schoolwork is I either try and finish it in class, or if it's a lot of work, or if I'm extremely tired and I don't work in the class, then I'll do it after school. So yeah, I kind of manage it. It's good.
Kelly needs to ride 4, 5, even 6 days a week, especially moving up towards a competition. She has a dressage lesson once a week and she has a show jumping lesson once a week. And then the rest of the week she will work on her own. She can lunge, she can do some flat work, and she can hack out. We like to vary a horse's program. Kelly's future in the sport depends entirely on her dedication. It depends on where she wants to go, really. That world is her oyster is such a lovely saying. She can go as far as she wants to go and as far as opportunity will allow her to go. It takes a lot of money and a lot of dedication, and you have to have the right horse as well. And some horses are limited, and if she finds she's reached her limitations with Trusty, she'll move on to another horse.
The biggest lesson this sport has taught me is, I think, patience. Because you have to be so patient. If you're not patient with your horse, then you'll never make it. My instructor always says to me, yeah, I get frustrated, but I have to go through with it, because as soon as you get frustrated, you're not going to move forward. So it has taught me a lot of patience, and also to keep calm and relax. So if you're tense, then you have to just sit still and relax.
Per week, I averagely spend like 6 hours a week doing it, because one session is about 2 hours, and also with schoolwork and things like that, it's quite hard to get out during the week. So it's mainly weekends is when I put long hours in. The biggest lesson the sport has taught me is to respect the ocean. It's a very powerful thing, and you really have to respect it, otherwise it can hurt you. And yes, it's also a very fun sport, but it's also very dangerous, which means you have to be very responsible. Just don't try to fight the ocean. Like, you can't. A wave is very powerful, so if you're going to fight it, you're going to end up hurting yourself. If someone's looking to get into a sport where you can really express yourself and explore the ocean and travel, then I'm sure kitesurfing is a really good sport for you to get into.
Next week, Caddy has some downtime. So tune in next week and we'll see if Erin can grab a medal in his next event. Don't miss out! In the meantime, check out our Facebook page for more news and views.